Hi guys, Johnny and Mr. Forex Fire, and welcome to this week inside the liquidity with Forex Fire. Okay, now what are these sessions for? That basically, after I've drawn and framed up my price on the 4 hour, okay, I then come back in and I look at the supply and demand area, and I look between the frame high and the frame low, and I look at where the liquidity may reside on each pair. 26 pairs that we look through. Okay, so it's a great opportunity for you to grab a pen and a bit of paper and sort of take notes on the sort of stuff that I look at and where I see and how I identify these areas. Okay, so grab yourself a notepad and pen, and what we'll do is we'll run through these. Okay, I try and do these as concise as I can, but at the same time try and go through them quite quickly because there's a lot to go through. Okay, so at the moment what we can see is the frame high and the frame low. Okay, price is what is inside of here. This is what we call inside liquidity of our frame, which is the bear zone. This is our last point of true mitigation, and the same with the bull zone, a last point of true mitigation for buying. So at this point, if price was to come up through here and squeeze out of this area, okay, I would then see it's a buying market. At the moment, what I'm doing is I'm looking for more of a selling market, simply because price is not pushing above this liquidity high, and we can still be selling up until we come through here. If we crash through this area, okay, then I'll be saying we're indefinitely selling. Okay, but for now, where is the liquidity that resides within all of this? Okay, so this is the odd card, right? And the first thing that's screaming out to me at the moment is this bit here. Okay, this is what we call fair value. So it's where price is pushed through on 3 candles, and the middle candle is basically just buying pressure in this instance. It's came up, it's pushed back down. Okay, it's mitigated into 50%. 50% is a good number. It's a medium. Okay, so what we've got is we've broken through this high here. As we've broken through this high here, okay, we've made high highs, higher lows. High highs because we broke through here. Prices come back to mitigate into this. Okay, so what we're seeing inside liquidity is we've got this here, we've pushed down, where we've also come below these areas here, sweeping, and not only sweeping that, if we come to this area here, we can see we actually swept. Okay, we actually swept quite a bit here. So as prices come down, it takes liquidity, it's got to create it. Okay, so what's happened is prices came down, it's mitigating through these areas of liquidity, and now it's wanting to go back. And as it drives through the lower end of the liquidity, it's been leaving footprints above on here. So it's come up, it's come down and swept. We've got quite a good efficiency here. But like I said, when we talk about fair value, okay, it did a fair value here to here, okay? So when you see that fair value, it's been pushing its price, okay, right the way through here. But look what happened. It came up, it took liquidity from this candle here, okay? It pulled back. It came up and it took the liquidity right from this standpoint here, okay? And this is where you've got to train your eyes. As it swept through that, look what's done. It's came down and it's crashed back into that liquidity, which was the fair value, which give it the drive and premise to go up to the buy side, okay? As it done that, it pulled back a bit, it left behind a fair value here. It's pushed again, and the liquidity came above this area here, okay? So it's took liquidity, it's got to create it, it's came back to create it, and as it's created it by tapping into this, it's also took the liquidity that was left behind from that there, okay? So it's a bit like filling a couple of glasses of water. There's only so much volume you can get within the candle or within the glass of water before it starts to overspill. When you get that overspill, that's when that volume is taken from that liquidity. So the liquid is filling up on the glass, okay? and there's only so much volume into a glass, which is like your candle. It comes up, it takes that, and as it comes up and it takes that liquidity, okay, you get an overspill, which will come back. It'll start creating a fresh amount of volume, okay? So what we can see here, yes, it's bearish at the moment, and what we see on this bit here is a possible order block. We could get a retest into this sort of area, a little bit of a mess around, might get a tap into that, but I do think we'll start getting some bearishness, because overall, when you're looking at price on a whole, okay, the price is moving sideways down here like this, the sideways and down. So it's very much bearish. So I think we're just messing around here. We may get a test up into this area here, order block, and I think we'll start going back down to these lower end liquidities. Okay, so that is a little bit more of an in-depth overview on the first one, okay? As I run through these will get sort of quicker and quicker. So we're going into the odd NZD. Okay, so what do we see on here? What's first screams at you when you look at this? Okay, I can tell you straight away, I can see fair value again. Okay, we've got a fair value gap. What do we have underneath? Well, we've got a little bit of a fair value gap here, but if we look at where liquidity is on this bit here, okay, stretch that along. So we've got a liquidity line here. It could be a case of on this, because we're making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. We could get a little bit of a faff around on here, get a sweep of this, or maybe even test into the fair value there. And then we might start coming back up and tap into this area, okay? And then again, after that, it's anybody's guess. We could either come up and tap into that and then come down, or it may be a case of we actually, after tapping into this, it may be a case of price will actually come down and smash into this and then come back up. We may even come down and feel through this area here because we still have liquidity and fair value to the downside here as well. Okay, so that's a little look on that one. The odd Swiss franc, let's take a look. So price on here for me, the price efficiency is pretty good because we've got fair value around about there. There's a bit of a reason why we may come down to tap into this, but at the same time we have there may have been a news event through the week which has caused this long wick to come down. So as we've came and sort of come higher, okay, again when you look at it, you've come higher, okay. When you look at this again, there's liquidity there. Price is pulled back all the way back down, and it's sort of swept out through that liquidity there. And then as it's built out liquidity 1, 2, 3 and swept through this, it's now got enough liquidity to go higher to the buy side, okay? So as it's gone higher and this has taken out this area here, okay, it's left a couple of bits of footprint. It's left this one here, which is fair value, and a secondary one is this huge wick to the downside, because inside of the lower time frames on this, there'll be hidden liquidity, okay? So I do think we may possibly come down and test a little bit. I think we're going to tap into this, and I think we'll come back down in all fairness. And so I think we'll continue a little bit bullish with this because the price efficiency is doing pretty well on it. But I think we will mess around here for a little bit and then tap into this. And then I think we will come back down to collect what this has left behind. Okay, so that's the odd Swiss franc. Let's look at the odd USD. Again, inside liquidity, what do we see? If we look at where we've been pushing, okay, at the moment, we can see the wick high of this, we have swept, okay, we swept up there. So what's left behind between this low and this high? I'm ignoring these bits at the moment. Well, I can see at this time where price had closed at the end of the market, we can see fair value here. Okay, we can also see fair value here. We can also see fair value here. So there's a lot of draw on liquidity to here. Okay, so it could be that we get a tap, into this, a little bit of a mess around. It may even want to sweep through this bit here, and it may want to tap this before it starts coming down, and then it may want to crash, test into this. As it's took liquidity, it's got to create it, so it comes back to a breaker block. It may come down to this, come back and tap into an FEG it leaves behind here. It then may want to come and tap into that, and then from there, it's either going to tap into these bits here, or it's going to want to push a little bit higher. At the moment, what I can see is price is pretty much in a big consolidation bit on this at the minute. Okay, but we do have draw on liquidity to the downside on these bits. Okay, so that's what I see on the AUD USD. The CAD JPY, very, very tight on this. The efficiency on price is pretty good. Now, when I talk about fair value, okay, we open this right up, and if we look at that there to that there, you can see it's swept down through that, and as it swept down through that and took its liquidity here, the draw on liquidity after that is obviously to the upside, which is where it took out here. Okay, so it went higher high, higher low, higher high. I mean, even though you don't quite say there's a higher high, there's a higher low, but at the same time, it's done a double top. As it's done the double top, it's pierced through that, okay? And the closer market, it has left behind a fair value gap. So I think that this may want to basically tap into this, do a little bit of messing around. I think this will be a one that will violate us this week, the CAD JPY. I really do think this will violate us this week, simply because what we're seeing here as well is a huge to the upside, and this is from October, to be fair. So again, we need to tread with this one carefully. We've been doing on the inside leg liquidity. We've took out the highs. We've made double tops. We've pulled back. We've pushed up above the liquidity here, leaving behind a bit of a fair value gap. The momentum is very much bullish, so we may get a push and a violation of this setup. So we just need to be very, very careful of the CAD JPY, in my opinion. Okay, so that's the CAD JPY. We'll take a look at the Chef JPY. Again, this one here, very, very much bullish. We can see here, we had fair value was here as it made the tippy top and more or less double topped up here. Price came back down, it mitigated through that. Not only did it mitigate, it swept. Okay, so it swept as it took liquidity. It's then, as it comes down, it's got to take the liquidity, it's got to create it. So as it's done that, what has happened? It's basically swept through this bit here as well. Okay, so it's swept through that bit there as well. And at the same time, as it's swept through that, there's fair value here. And what it's done with that, it's actually come and tapped into that. So because we're very much bullish on this at the minute, I think this could be another one that is just going to go sideways for a bit. We can see inside of here at the minute a fair value gap here, so it may be that it messes around, taps into that, comes back down a bit, another sweep. But I think ultimately we'll be going higher on this one. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on my eye on the Chef JPY. Okay. Euro odds, again, another biggie. What we've got here is when we look from the high to this low, look to the left, we can see it's swept through that liquidity there. Okay, so we can clearly annotate this and see, right, we've had a sweep. So as it's swept, okay, we're just going to take another little look to the left. We've got fair value here. It actually come and tap into that. Okay, to the downside, when we look at the sell side, we've got double bottoms here. We're mitigating through that, and then just below that, you've got fair value here, and it's starting to touch into that. Okay, so for me at the moment, what I can see is a little bit of a fair value up to this side here. Okay, I can see fair value here. So what I'm thinking is we could possibly do a little bit of messing around, maybe come back down here, tap another fair value gap, and then maybe mess around. And I think we could potentially come down and break through this. We might get weaker. It just depends on the news through the week. So I can see the inside liquidity here from the frame. I can see we've come through the bottom. We're tapping into a fair value here. We've already swept up here. We're being lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. It's then sort of came back, took the liquidity here. Okay. As it takes the liquidity, it's got to create it. So it's created liquidity to the downside. As it's done that, it's more or less failed to go higher. So it's tricked the sellers because what's happened is this bit here has then came and swept on this, and people think, oh, well, we're selling, when in fact it's actually just created the liquidity to go and attack that side, make a higher high, higher low, higher high, and it's starting to make not so much a higher low, it's starting to break through this. So at the moment, we're sort of sideways on everything, but it's undetermined whether it's breaking to the buy side or breaking to the sell side. I think we'll get taps into these areas inside liquidity, and I think we'll end up continuing down, to be fair. So that is the euro odd. We'll look at the euro card. Again, you can see here we are just simply sideways motion. So there's not really much to look at other than we are double bottom at the minute. What are we seeing to the buy side of this liquidity? Well, we've got fair value here. Okay. And at the moment, we've got higher highs. It's determined to make a higher low. So I think this bit here, we will get that tap up into this. I think we will get a tap. Get this on, John. Get this tap up into this. I think we'll break down lower to maybe come and attack this bit over here to maybe tap that and go higher. Okay, see what I mean? So maybe tap into this, come down, sweep through this, take the liquidity here. I think we may even come down. If we look to that left, we can see a huge amount here. It's trying to tap into that liquidity there. We draw it down a little bit more. So there's a draw liquidity to the downside here as well as to that upside. So I think we will tap into this lower end FVG this week. And that's what I can see on that. Okay. The Euro GBP, huge spike on liquidity with a wick. So lower time frames, there's a lot of data inside of this. If we look to the left of what's happened, we could see it was a double bottom. We've actually pushed through and swept that. So again, just going with some quick annotations, we can see that we've swept. To the buy side, we've got a little bit of fair value here. We've also got a lot of liquidity up here. I don't think we're going to crash down through this bit here. I don't think we're going to crash down through this just yet. I think we're going to mess around, maybe come up here, mess around for a bit. Then I think we may continue down. For the simple fact is, underneath the liquidity, we also have a draw on liquidity with fair value here as well. So overall, we'll be more or less bullish. Okay, but I think this is the start for this to come down through these higher lows and make lower lows, to make lower highs, to make lower lows, and then come down here through next week. That's what I can see happening with that. Or at least what I perceive my perception to be for next week. Euro NZD, we can see, I mean, this one's a hard one, to be fair. If we just look at this, we can see liquidity on fair value. We're tapping into that right now. We've left a huge amount of fair value up to the buy side. Got a bear zone, so this one's risky. And we are extremely bullish at the minute. I just think we're coming down to test between zones, okay, of this low and then of this high, because we've got higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We're making a higher low at the minute. So if we're making a higher low, I do think we could mess around here, maybe tap into this, build some liquidity along here, but then I think ultimately we're going to push higher on this, because the draw liquidity is this bear zone here. There is also the fair value here, and then we might come down and push a little bit higher, thus making this continue to the buy side. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on that bit there. Euro USD, we're about halfway now, guys. Again, we can see we're very much coming in a downtrend there. We've got a channel coming in, to be fair. Okay, we do have this. We did sweep through it, but ultimately we've got liquidity on here. We also have liquidity right there, but it did sweep. Okay, it did sweep a little bit there. We do have fair value down on the bottom here. Okay, there is fair value here. So what I'm looking at the minute, I think, and we've got this also here, this channel. I think we're going to start pushing back up into this sort of direction. So, like I say, we made lower lows, lower highs. I think we're going to start messing around with in this channel. What it's going to do from there, I'm not quite sure, to be fair. Overall, when we look more to the left, it has been ultimately bullish on this occasion, but at the minute we're caught in a situation where it's starting to go sideways. So the Euro USD is a pretty hard one to call this week. The CAD Swiss franc, again, liquidity wise, we can see from here we have swept. We sort of did a sweep through this. Underneath all of the liquidity, we've got fair value right here. So at the minute, when we look at this, we've swept above this, and we're in a very much a channel here. So again, you do have a draw on liquidity, not forgetting fair value up here. Okay. You've got fair value right here, but at the same time, there's some underneath on that bit there. So we could end up where we're trying to push higher, and then we could come back down into this area here. The GBP odd, another one that is tightly framed up. We made a push through liquidity here. We swept up to the high. Now we're trying to come back down. The reason we're coming back down is because of this fair value, and it's actually swept through that. Okay, so you can see here, it has swept through that. So the next port of call is a possible liquidity low here. If we do sort of continue down where we've been bearish, but then we've consolidated, okay, we've then consolidated. I think on this one, the GBP odd, we may come down, tap into this, have a little bit of mess around, and I think we'll come back to that buy side, to be fair. The GBP card, let's take a look at this. Look to the left. We swept through all of this. We've got an order block basically here. Okay, we've tapped into that. Price efficiency wise, there's no real fair value other than a little bit of imbalance here. Price for me, it's been pretty much bearish. Low lows, low highs, low lows, low highs. But again, we've been a little bit sideways here. So we're caught within a rock and a hard place with this one. Overall, like you see, a settlement of price, you've been pretty much bullish, taking out these highs here. As you've done that and swept up to here, you've started coming back down, taking out the liquidity here, and then moving back into that sideways motion along here, as you see. So it's done that, and then it's making higher highs now, and then this is making a higher low. So there's a draw on liquidity instantly on that bit. It's tapped into the order block. So maybe price on the G card might actually just be doing another little bit of higher consolidation from here, and then maybe break back up to that buy side, to be fair. It's what I say with this bit anyway. Right, so the G chef, we'll look at this again, bearish. We've came up and double topped, and then we've come and broken through this. So this could be the start of the momentum to the buy side. Okay, it did have fair value here, but it's actually swept through that. So I think on this one, we're going to be like sort of sideways, maybe tap back into this, and then I think we're going to start pushing higher, to be fair. Looking on this, because like I say, we look to the left, we've actually broken through all of that as well. We've broken through all of this liquidity here. So we've come down swept, and again, you got low highs, low lows, change of direction, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, low, high, low, low, change of direction. We could get a push down into this area where it may sweep through that area of the bull zone. We may get a violation, and then I think we will continue up to the buy side, to be fair. Get that alert put in here. Put this right. I'll get this to auto fit. Right, so the GBP NZD, we've got a draw on liquidity, more certainly up on the high side. So this is a bit of a dangerous setup, to be fair. Okay, and we'll get a violation up to the buy side, and we're going to get a tap into this higher end. Again, inside liquidity, we've got sweeping here. We've got a little bit of a trend line liquidity there, which in turn has a little bit of an order block system. So at the minute, price has been, like I say, bullish. Price has come back down. It hasn't swept down here. So it's still higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. However, when we look at the tippy top of the mountain right up here, it's swept up here. Okay, it's swept up here. So again, as it's swept up here, it's done a bearish drop. It's left behind fair value. So higher highs, higher lows. Inside liquidity, when I see inside liquidity, the range from here down to here is we're pretty much stuck between. So sideways. We've done a sweep, okay, so that's a new liquidity high. So this could just be making where it's coming down. It's making the lows, okay? And I think we'll have a little bit of mess around up here. We could get a violation on this because of that fair value there as well, okay? So just be wary of that one. The GBP JPY, pretty much bullish. It's pointless going much over this one, to be fair, other than it's coming mitigated through this. Higher highs, higher lows. I think this is just going to continue up to that bear zone. So there's not really much to look at for that one, to be fair. The GU, we can see we've swept through this here. Okay. To the buy side, we've got fair value. We've tapped into that. Okay. We do have fair value here as well. We've had a wick right here, which has smashed through all of this. So there's going to be hidden liquidity on here. So if we do get pullbacks, you've took liquidity, you've got to create it. You've took liquidity, you've got to create it. So like I say, it's creating the liquidity here. So this may very well mess around inside, tap into this, come up, tap into this, this, and then back down, because the momentum at the minute, what you can see overall at a bigger picture, it's bearish, okay? So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got the NZD cards, again, massively swept through this. It's took liquidity, it's got to create it. So as it takes liquidity, like I say, listen here, as you take liquidity, you've got to create it. And when it creates it, it's going to come back down, maybe tap into a fair value right here. Okay. So there's a huge draw liquidity to the downside. So for me on the NZD card, we're going to come down. We're going to mess around in here for a while. We may even tap into this to then maybe go back up to that buy side. Because like I say, when you look at this bigger picture, we're very much bearish. Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We're trying to go bullish, but I think we're going to come down into here, do a little bit of messing around. Okay. And then we might start going higher. NZD, JPY. Again, sideways at the moment when we look at that there. We're broken out to the buy side a little bit, but when we look at that, we've also got that draw liquidity with the fair value gap. So again, this one's just a plain simple breakout, come around, maybe mess around for a bit, making some inside liquidity, tap into this, and then maybe go to this area. That's a quick one, an easy one to look at, to be fair. The NZD USD, again, very similar to what I think the GU was. We've got sweep, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. We took liquidity. As we've taken the liquidity, we've left behind, like I say, a footprint, a volume, which is the fair value. We've tapped into that. So now prices want to go higher. However, we can't ignore this. Okay. So I think from this aspect, we've made lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then a higher high sweeping this. Higher low, higher high, higher low, high high. I think we may mess around, tap into this. I think we'll come into the bear zone, and then I think it'll be the opposite side on here. Consolidation, tap into this, and then maybe want to take off to the buy side, to be fair. Because like I said, we can't keep coming down in bearish mode. There's got to be a point where this will turn. So that's what I'm seeing on the NZD, USD. USD Swiss franc, we're almost at the end now, guys. Like I say, very, very tight. We'll look at this. We've got fair value. We've been tapping into that. Underneath that, I think we're going to come and tap into this, to be fair. I think we're going to come lower. We're going to tap into this. We may even get a violation retest and come down to try and test the double bottom down here, to be fair, when I'm looking at this a little bit more, because overall picture very much bearish. As we went bearish, we went sideways. We've been stuck inside of this lower high, and we've got this lower low. So we've got a lot of inside liquidity here. We've got a lot of area and scope for this to play around with. I think we'll end up doing the bearish continuation, and I think we're going to come and sweep. We may even sweep through this, in fairness, and then may even sweep that, and I think we'll come back bullish, to be honest, on this one. So that's what I'm looking at, the USD Swiss franc. We've got the USD card. Again, very, very difficult one, this one, to be fair. We did have fair value, and that fair value was created after we took out the liquidity on here. Okay, prices come down, and it sort of mitigated into that. So we're making it shorter, and then price actually mitigated through the area. And what it did was it spiked and it burst its bubble. It swept. Okay, so when it swept, what do we see to the buy side? Well, we see fair value here. We can get rid of this bit. Okay, and we can also see fair value to here. So there's a huge draw on liquidity at the minute to the buy side. So we could come and tap into these, a little bit of a mess around. We're either going to pierce through this to come into this area here for fair value to then continue up, or when we've done this little bit of messing around, we're going to tap into this and we may come to the downside. It's at the minute, what we can see is we were consolidating. We broke out through that higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, okay? look to the top of that. We're failing to take out the higher highs, okay? We've come down and we've taken out the lows at the minute. So the volume and the volatility of this at the minute tells me we're going to, after we swept through this, we're going to continue. I think we will end up going into a bearish momentum. So I do think we'll draw liquidity will be here, but I think we'll end up coming lower to come back down into these areas, okay? And then we've got finally the USD JPY. We'll take a look at that. Okay, the USD JPY, very, very simple. This one, just higher highs, higher lows. We can see we've been very much bullish. Again, as we've broken out through here, you've got fair value. It's swept into that and it's tapped it, okay? I think on this, we may come up, but I think we're just going to continue with this bullishness on here. Again, it's hard to trade the USD simply because, one, you never know what Trump's going to say, and two, obviously, the news that comes out of the US. It's 1 minute it can be very, very bullish. The next price can tank, okay? So that is it for Inside the Liquidity with Forex Fire for this week. Hopefully you've took notes. I hope you've enjoyed this. And what I would say is, if you're not inside of the Discord and you're watching these videos on YouTube, okay, this is just a small sort of introduction of some of the stuff that we do have. We've got so much more going on in the Discord. And if you are watching this in the Discord, please leave some comments and feedback if you're enjoying these series, okay? I'll see you a bit later, guys.